It's important. But now we have this. The disposable income for the employer of the insured just went way up. New diagram. New diagram. Now what we're looking at is E, our former employer in the last several diagrams. Our employer has money. That's this little rectangle right here. It gets its money, that's its money coming in from C of G plus S. That's our consumption of the goods and services offered by our employer. You work in a movie theater, it's people coming to see the movies that puts money in your employer's pocket. And once the money's there, just like when it hits our pocket, it leaves. They usually get it back a lot quicker though. This is how it works. The employer loses money through paying your wages. It loses money through paying taxes to the government. And then we have EB, employee benefits. That's your healthcare plan, that's your dental, that's your vision, that's blah, blah, blah. Any good employee benefits you have, your boss is paying for them. Question you ask, why the hell would my boss pay for my benefits? Because they are, that's what those little P and M are here, a profit maximizing entity. Why would they pay out that kind of money? And the reason employers offer benefits like healthcare plans and vacation, all that crap, is because they need to in order to attract the better employees. Businesses are in competition with each other, not only for customers, but also for good employees. I'd love to work for Google. Unfortunately, I'm not qualified. But Google employees have like the best benefits package in the world. I would literally probably kill somebody, maybe a couple people, depending upon what they've done, to work at Google. It's their benefits. That's why. I really don't give a damn about search engines. But now, what's left after all of these subtractions to the company's bottom line, isn't that funny how this works? Bottom line, these are the subtractions. These are the things your boss pays for. You're left with the disposable income of your employer. Now, when a company has money, after it's paid all its workers and paid all its bills, taken care of what they call the overhead, it does a couple of things with it. One of the things it doesn't usually do is save, because that's just silly when you're a business. You're a profit maximizing entity, and savings accounts usually have crap for interest rates. And that, I mean, they buy financial instruments, bonds, CDs, whatever, that have slightly better interest rates, but I mean, that's a whole muddy thing we don't want to get into right now. So what they do is they spend it on K, capital. Karl Marx, thank you. Capital is everything from employees to the buildings that their equipment's in, to the equipment itself, to the grease that greases the gears to churn out the monkeys or whatever the hell they're building that they're selling. Capital is everything from land to equipment to employees. They will spend some of their disposable income to acquire a new building, to change out their equipment for the newer, more efficient model. They'll hire more employees so they can pump out more things per shift. They'll do a lot of different stuff with disposable income, but capital is one of them, trust me. The other thing they might do with it is increase wages, which goes back to employee benefits, because they want better employees. The better employees they get, the better their product at a cheaper cost. They're maximizing their profit this way. Not really likely these days, the increasing of wages, unless you're an executive. But again, we'll talk about that. And then the other thing they do with it is advertise. So they can sell more product, so they can blah, 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 compute this one more time and add another dollar sign. So the three things that a company does with its disposable income are geared towards the making of more money for this company. How the hell does this relate to healthcare? That's great. Good question. Now, the way that works is that it just decreased the amount of money your company was spending on employee benefits. So that leads to a strengthening of this line. Now it's a double line with a bigger arrowhead. Wow. Increases its disposable income. So now the company can acquire even more capital. It could pay more in wages, it probably won't. And it can sure as shit advertise the hell out of the crap they want you to buy. Again, these are all good things for healthcare, because the capital the company buys is taxable. I mean, even if it makes an investment, the proceeds from that investment are taxable. If it uses the money to increase wages, the government still gets a piece of that because they're taxing you on your wages. Enhancing the conditions of consumption, disposable income for individuals companies, profit-maximizing individuals or entities, however you like, will do incredible things for Uncle Sam's bottom line by increasing tax revenue. Just, I would say exponentially, but it's incorrect. But I mean, it will drastically increase things. And that, combined with the effect of the reduction in price of healthcare from its universal, way more feasible than any of the goddamn politicians out there are talking about. I wonder if any of them have ever studied economics, or, I mean, maybe they sat through the classes like George Bush got their C with their eyes closed, whatever. But, god damn, this is pretty simple to me. And I haven't even graduated. At the beginning of this adventure, I used a dirty word. My word was Republicans. Now, I said I'm going to piss off a lot of Republicans, and I also said that it's not my ultimate goal. It is certainly a stepping stone because nobody likes to hear they're wrong. And I'm going to be saying it a lot. But like I said before also, I will intend to prove it, or at least explain myself, my point of view, as well as possible. Now, to recap, what we started off with was a debate on universal health care, right here. And we started with an argument against. It'll cost way too much to fund, blah, 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 bankrupt the country in 10 years, whatever. Here's my numbers, yeah, there are too many, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Or wait, who's that guy on Fox News that holds up that stupid whiteboard with numbers circled on it and arrows all the time and says, "Wow, look, right here, this is why the Democrats are wrong." Yeah, never explaining it. Ask why. So what I've done here is recap. The Republicans said universal health care would bankrupt the country. What I've said is that if you examine each of the different moving pieces of it, what you find is that instituting a plan, universal health care in the broad sense, everybody gets free health care, government foots the bill, which, I mean, I'm totally into modification of that. It doesn't have to be that way, but it's a great place to start. But what you'll find with the institution of a system like that is that the cost of health care itself will fall. The government's tax revenue will increase, and that, I have to remind you, is without increasing taxes. Under the current conditions of taxation, an increase in disposable income of the individual and of the profit-maximizing entity will lead to a direct increase in government tax revenue collection. You will not be paying any more for anything than you are now. In fact, you may even be paying less. You will be paying a lot less for health care. It'll be free. But what we have here is a diagram that makes this guy down here all the more feasible. With a decrease in the cost of health care that is not factored into the current projections for the cost of universal health care. And an increase in tax revenue, which also is not being calculated by any of the naysayers. What we have is a much more feasible healthcare system. And not only that, I mean, just think about this as a quality of life issue for your average American. I mean, Christ, we have guys that we shipped over to Europe 45 years ago to stop the ultimate evil. They got the veterans plan, but I mean, why are they living on the street? Why, I mean, their wives and kids, I mean, Christ, just, I mean, fucking anybody. Why does anybody in a country like this not go to the doctor, get taken care of? I didn't have health insurance for years. I almost died from a goddamn wisdom tooth infection. What the fuck? And then we have this. Every single goddamn Republican stood up in lockstep, fought this bill tooth and nail. I've just shown you how it's going to increase the profitability of small businesses that offer insurance to their employees by removing that cost from their bottom line entirely. The Republicans say they care about small business and that improving and enhancing the conditions of small businesses in this country is the way of the future. What they did by fighting this is fucking dead set against small business. What the hell? Alright, this is last diagram, bud. WTF. What the fuck, America? All we have to do is think about things instead of just listening to the goddamn talking heads on the idiot box. The truth shall set you free.